This part of the test will measure your listening ability when it comes to the conversations and lectures in academic settings. You will listen to a recording and then answer questions about it. You will be able to take notes while listening, and you can listen to the recording only once. The questions must be answered in the presented order. During the exam, you will not be allowed to go back to the previous question. The questions will be about the main idea and the supporting details. Some questions will be about the speaker's purpose or attitude. Answer the questions based on what is stated or implied by the speaker. Now listen to the lecture.
Welcome to today's lecture on the Nemunas River, a distinctive and important historical river in Lithuania. The Nemunas River is not only the longest and largest river in Lithuania, but it also has a significant impact on the nation's nature, history, and culture. 4 key sections will make up today's discussion. We'll start by looking at the hydrology and geographical characteristics of the Nemunas River. The river rises in the hills and runs through Lithuania on its way to the Curonian Lagoon and ultimately the Baltic Sea. The Nemunas River has a drainage area of around 98,200 square kilometers and is about 937 kilometers long. It receives its nourishment from a vast network of rivers. We will examine the Nemunas River ecological importance. The river's plentiful supplies have historically supported a wide variety of vegetation and wildlife. The delicate balance of the river's ecosystems is now at risk due to human activities, including water extraction, dam construction, and pollution. It is depressing to see that a number of indigenous fish species, including the Atlantic sturgeon, are now in danger of going extinct as a result of these activities. Third, we shall discuss the Nemunas River's historical and cultural significance. The lifeblood of countless Lithuanian communities that sprung up along its banks, this stream has long been a crucial transportation route. The river has seen the birth and fall of important medieval states, and it has even served as a battlefield in a number of wars. The Nemunas River is now the source of much of Lithuanian mythology, and has served as an inspiration for innumerable pieces of literature and art. We will last look at current initiatives to safeguard and conserve the Nemunas River. The Nemunas Delta Regional Park is one of many programs that have been started in recent years to reduce pollution and protect the river's ecosystems. The river has also been added to the Natura 2000 network of the European Union, which strives to protect the long-term survival of Europe's most priceless and imperiled species and environments. I want to underline the significance of ongoing vigilance in preserving the Nemunas River before we wrap up. It is our duty to make sure that this essential artery of Lithuania's natural and cultural heritage is safeguarded for upcoming generations.
What is the main idea of the lecture? How does the professor feel about the impact of human activities on the Nemunas River's ecosystems? What does the professor imply by mentioning the Nemunas Delta Regional Park and the Natura 2000 network? Why does the professor say that the Nemunas River is at the heart of Lithuanian folklore? Which of the following are part of the lecture? Which of the following human activities has negatively impacted the Nemunas River's ecosystems? Now listen to the conversation between two people.
Hello, I'm having some issues with my current class schedule, and I'd like to make a few changes.
Sure, I'm happy to help. Can you tell me what specifically you'd like to change?
Well, my workload is getting a bit overwhelming. I'm taking 6 courses this semester, and it's difficult for me to manage my time.
It sounds like you might need to drop 1 or 2 courses. Have you identified which ones you'd like to drop?
Yes, I have. I'd like to drop the physics and the history classes. They're both interesting, but I'm struggling to keep up.
All right, I understand. Keep in mind that dropping classes could potentially impact your graduation timeline.
I know, but I think I'd rather take an extra semester to graduate than risk failing these courses.
That's a valid point. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of the possible implications.
Thank you for the heads up. Another thing, I've heard that some students were able to change their physics class to an online format. Is that an option for me?
I'm not entirely sure, but I can look into that for you. If it's possible, would you prefer to switch to an online format instead of dropping the class?
Yes, that might be a better option for me. I think it would help me balance my time more effectively.
All right, let me check on that for you. In the meantime, I'll start the process for dropping your history class.
Thank you so much for your assistance. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm here to help you succeed.
What is the main idea of the dialogue? What does the student imply when mentioning that some students switch their physics class to an online format? How does the student feel about potentially taking an extra semester to graduate? What is the student counselor's attitude toward the student's concerns? What change is the student counselor going to make immediately for the student? Now listen to the lecture.
We will look into the intriguing field of cold fusion, a subject that has piqued the interest of both the general public and experts. Contrary to the high temperature conditions that are generally required for classical fusion events, cold fusion is a hypothesized process that produces nuclear fusion reactions at ambient temperature or a temperature close to it. Let's first quickly go over nuclear fusion itself. When lighter elements such as hydrogen combine to form heavier elements such as helium, fusion takes place, releasing enormous quantities of energy in the process. The sun and other stars are powered by this process. Scientists have long sought to harness nuclear fusion for energy generation because it has the potential to produce clean, almost endless power. Several decades ago, when scientists started looking into the feasibility of producing nuclear fusion events at ambient temperature, the idea of cold fusion first came into being. The possibility of utilizing an almost limitless source of energy with little negative effects on the environment served as the main driving force behind these investigations. Numerous researchers have reported LENR, or low-energy nuclear reactions, that could be caused by cold fusion as cold fusion research has continued throughout the years. However, a fundamental barrier to the field's advancement has been the absence of a broadly accepted theory explaining the mechanism underlying these reactions. The presence of minuscule contaminants or flaws in the experimental apparatus is one explanation for the inconsistent outcomes in cold fusion studies. It can be difficult to reliably duplicate the results because even minor changes in the environment can have an impact on the conclusion. There have been new initiatives to investigate the potential of cold fusion in recent years. It is hoped that technological developments and a better knowledge of nuclear reactions would lead to cold fusion being a practical energy source in the future. In their pursuit of cold fusion, researchers continue to push the limits of our knowledge because of the promise of clean, abundant energy.
What is the main idea of the lecture? What does the professor suggest as a possible reason for varying results in cold fusion experiments? According to the professor, what is a significant obstacle in advancing the field of cold fusion? According to the lecture, what is one possible explanation for the difficulty in reproducing cold fusion results? Why does the professor discuss low-energy nuclear reactions? Why does the professor say that scientists continue to explore cold fusion? Now listen to the conversation between two people.
Hello, I was wondering if I could pay my tuition in installments. I'm having a bit of financial difficulty at the moment.
Sure, our university does offer a payment plan option for students in need. You can spread your tuition payments over the course of the semester.
That's great to hear. How do I go about setting that up?
You'll need to fill out a payment plan application form available on our website. Once submitted, our financial office will review it and then get back to you with further details.
I appreciate that. Is there a deadline for submitting the application?
Yes, the deadline for the upcoming semester is 2 weeks before classes start. However, I recommend applying as soon as possible to avoid any issues.
Thank you for the information. I also wanted to ask if there's a possibility of receiving any financial aid.
Our university does offer financial aid to eligible students. You can find information about the different types of aid and the application process on our website as well.
Great, I'll look into that. But what happens if I still struggle to make the payments even after setting up a plan and receiving financial aid?
In such cases, we do our best to work with students to find a solution. It's important to maintain open communication with the financial office and let us know of any changes in your financial situation.
I understand. Thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
help.
Good luck with your application, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions.
What is the main purpose of this dialogue? What does the administrator imply about the payment plan application deadline? What can be inferred about the student's financial situation? How does the administrator feel about helping the student with their financial concerns? According to the dialogue, what is the role of the financial office in handling tuition payment issues? Now listen to the lecture.
Marcus Vitruvius Pollio, also known as Vitruvius, was one of the most significant ancient Roman architects. Today, we'll talk about his work and influence. This talk will highlight his contributions to architecture, the influence of his work on later generations, and his well-known book, De Architectura. Vitruvius, the architect, engineer, and writer, who was born in the 1st century BCE, served as an advisor to Emperor Augustus. The only ancient work on architecture still in existence is his treatise, De Architectura. Our understanding of the fundamentals of ancient Roman architecture has been greatly influenced by this literature. In Vitruvius's opinion, an architect should be inspired by the firmitas, solidity, utilitas, utility, and venustas, beauty principles. These ideas served as the cornerstone of classical architecture and have influenced architectural thought ever since. The Architectura is a 10-volume treatise that covers a variety of architectural issues, including the planning of cities, building construction, and material selection. Additionally, Vitruvius covers a variety of engineering topics, including aqueducts, bridges, and machinery. This treatise offers important details regarding the technical expertise and real-world experience of Roman Empire architects. The outline of the ideal human proportions is one of De Architectura's most well-known passages. According to Vitruvius, the human body can be enclosed within a perfect square and circle. The Vitruvian Man, a classic drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, was inspired by this idea. It has stood the test of time as a representation of the harmony and unity of the human form, which was a key idea in ancient architecture. Although Vitruvius wrote De Architectura for contemporary architects, its effect was felt well beyond the borders of the Roman Empire. The concepts of Vitruvian architecture were rediscovered and used during the Renaissance by painters and architects, including Michelangelo, Filippo Brunelleschi, and Leon Battista Alberti. They aimed to imitate the harmony, equilibrium, and proportion of the classical structures of ancient Rome. Vitruvius and De Architectura continue to have an impact on modern architecture. When developing buildings, architects frequently discuss his three fundamental qualities: solidity, function, and beauty. Furthermore, modern architectural practice is still influenced by the Vitruvian concepts of symmetry, order, and proportion. In conclusion, Vitruvius's contributions to architecture have had a significant and enduring influence. In addition to offering a thorough analysis of Roman architectural techniques, his treatise De Architectura also lays out the guiding principles that continue to influence architectural theory and practice today. Vitruvius's writings have had a lasting impact on the history of architecture and have motivated countless architects to pursue beauty, harmony, and practicality in their designs.
What is the main idea of the lecture? What does the professor imply about the Vitruvian man? What did the professor mean when he said,
In Vitruvius's opinion, an architect should be inspired by the firmitas, solidity, utilitas, utility, and venustas, beauty principles.
What did the professor mean when he said,
The Vitruvian Man, a classic drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, was inspired by this idea.
according to the lecture, which of the following are part of Vitruvius' architectural principles and which are not? Based on the lecture, which of these statements about the Renaissance architects are accurate?